For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. I hope you had a great Easter. Now, it was about a week ago for my family. We celebrate early in the Easter weekend, and some things never change. It's whether it's Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. I think those are the only holidays that we do the big turkey thing, right? Yeah, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. Anyway, so same thing happens actually for any family get-together. There's a whole bunch of food put out before the meal. And you remember what your parents would tell you. It was always mom that said, you're going to spoil your dinner, right? If you eat junk food or whatever before. So, of course, in our family, that's what the moms do. And I'm not being sexist, because in our Polish-Ukrainian family, it's the women that spend all day slaving and making the delicious meal that we have, which I'm complimenting because I'm saying it is a delicious meal. But everybody overeats before it's time to actually have dinner. And so we do this every time. Nobody should be surprised. But if everybody is so full before the meal comes, it's interesting that everybody still manages a full plate when they go up to the buffet and they take, all of the food, because you've got to have the potato, the pierogi, the turkey, the salad, the this, the that, the everything, the ham. You've got to have one of everything. So the plates are heaping, and let's say they're layered, because you almost have your base layer of food, and then you have even more. You have to stack it now because there's that much food on the plate. It reminds me of when you go to the store, right? They always say that you end up buying more because the cart is bigger and you can fit more. If you were to just take a basket or carry what you actually need, then you're likely to buy less, because there's just that whole mentality behind it all. So I wondered, if we all just ate off of dessert plates at Easter, would that make things any better? Well, probably not, because you can just go and refill your plate over and over again. So there's this predicament every year of, oh, I ate too much at Easter. Oh, I ate too much. Oh, there's too much food as always. Because that's also the problem. There's always the panic every year that there's not going to be enough food. Panic. It's fear. There's fear every year that there's not going to be enough food. And you know what happens? There's always way too much food. And then, before we leave, and then it's always my mom, do you want to take some turkey home? Do you want to take some potatoes home? Do you know how much I ate there? Do you really think I want to have even more when I go home, or the next day, or the day after? So then there are times when I say, well, you know what, I'll take like a container for the dogs then. I'll give some potatoes and gravy or whatever to the dogs. Well, no, you're not going to just waste the turkey on them. No, don't bother then. Well, then why are you shoving the leftovers down my throat? It's like I'm having a conversation with my mom right now. We should actually call her and get her on the show. But it was a good Easter, and, again, like I said, we all overeat. If I say overdrink, it's going to sound like I'm saying that we're getting drunk, and that's not what I mean. But no, because you'll have like the fizzy Pepsi and everything with the munchies beforehand. You'll have the glass of wine with dinner. Then you'll have the coffee with the dessert. So you end up having about 4 or 5 different kinds of beverages as well. Your body, I don't know about yours, my body is not used to doing that. I'm a water drinker usually, the odd glass of wine, the odd drink here and there, but to have so many different types of, salt and sweet and fizz and sugar and just everything, it's body overload. So then I come home, and I'm not drunk, but I come home feeling drunk because I've consumed so much. And maybe it's a good thing we only do this 3 times a year to have the big get-together. But no, we do family birthdays and celebrations and everything all the time. My grandma's birthday is coming up again, so we're gonna go all out with food on that one. So it's definitely food plays a big part in our family life. And I think that that's something that goes to say it's a Polish-Ukrainian thing. But you hear that with Greeks, Italians, Filipinos. My uncle married a Filipino woman, so we've been to their family get-togethers and birthdays and celebrations, and food plays a huge part in it. So it's similar to music, right? Because music has the power to make you laugh, smile, cry, anything. There's just that emotional connection that people have with music. I'm going to talk with one of my childhood favorites, Fred Penner. A little bit later, you're going to hear that interview when I talked with him a couple of days ago, and it was sort of surreal to meet the guy who I grew up listening to. He's a kids performer, or a family performer anyway, and I grew up listening to his music and had the opportunity to meet and interview him. And then it's just makes you kind of like, whoa, music. I know his songs, and I know them from 30 years ago to 25 years ago. But then you think about it, it goes, wow, the fact that it's not that I heard them over and over again. I mean, I guess I did, but it takes me back to childhood. It takes me back to a fun, carefree time. So my lead up to that, by the way, is that Dreams Take Flight is a charitable initiative by Air Canada, Canada's largest airline. And a few years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Orlando with about 130 some kids for the day. And it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it's once in a lifetime, but it's also one day. So what happens is all of the kids, you show up at the airport at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. We fly out. It's still not even the crack of dawn yet. And we spend the 4.5 hours flying to Florida, to Orlando, and then we get to Disney. And we spend most of the day there. And then at about 6:30, 7 o'clock, I think it is, we get back on the plane and we fly home, and then we're home by about midnight. So it's honestly, it's a whirlwind trip. I gotta say, especially if you're flying from Canada and you're going all the way to the Florida, or, the coast, the east coast of the United States, it's definitely a globe-trotting journey from what it seems like. So we're doing it again, and you're going to hear that broadcast from Orlando next week here on The Scribble, and I'll also be live tweeting it. And by the time you're listening to this, actually, we might already be doing the trip, or it might have already happened. So follow along at SF Celeb Watch. SF is in Speak Free Celeb Watch. And then we've got a whole bunch of web content that will be going along with it, so pictures and video and everything from the ground there in Orlando. Now, a week or so ago, there was a meet and greet where we packed this conference room in a hotel, and the parents are there, and the kids are there, and Princess Jasmine was there as well. And it was a very fun night because the kids are hopped up on sugar. They're given, there's cookies and chocolate milk and juice and everything for them. And it was a great opportunity to meet the people who are going and doing the trip. And I met up with a 9.5-year-old who is going to be chatting with me when we're in Florida. Hopefully I'll be able to wrangle him up, because I know the kids are going to be crazy in terms of just wanting to see everything, do everything. So I hope I'm even noticeable is what I'm getting at. I hope they pay attention and are able to focus. But I don't think I would be able to at that age. It's just exciting. Mom and Dad are not going, from what Mom was telling me when I met and chatted with her. And so it's just going to be a great time. One of the takeaways that I have from last time that I went is that it's a day all about the kids. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of children. And it's strange because I even felt that way when I was growing up. I almost felt like I was more of a grown-up than the other kids my age. And I felt like I was more professional than the kids. And so it's one of those things where I'll go and I'll have a good time. But there's a couple moments that I still remember from years ago when we did Orlando. There was a deaf boy who I felt bad because he couldn't experience Disney like the same way the other kids are. And that's just because, he can't hear the music and the Disney songs. And, when we're watching the parade and the floats are going by, he has no idea that we're hearing the soundtrack from Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast or The Little Mermaid or anything like that. Is he enjoying himself? Absolutely. He's having a great time, and that's wonderful. So I realized that there's this, it's almost like he's only enjoying it 50% of the time. But the fact that he's able to enjoy it is what's most important. And so I went on a couple of the rides with him, and I took video because, again, I was there covering this. And when I look back, my eyes sort of water because here he is. He's driving this car. I don't remember the name of the ride, but, he was short that he needed a grown-up to go with him, and so I went. And he's bouncing in his seat, and just the smile on his face, and he's having such a great time. And that's what it's all about. So it's kind of funny because I sort of take a step back and go, yes, I'm there to do a job. I'm there to cover this event and help promote it and do it because I've got that platform. But then I've also got to take a step back and go, hey, you know what? I'm not the star of the day. I am not the star that day. The kids are the star. And so my focus originally when I got there was, I've got to get the good pictures, I've got to get interviews, I've got to do this. And then I kind of, as the day was going on, started to say to myself, you know what, screw it. If I don't get the best interview or the best pictures, who cares? It's not about me today. Now, I know that our fellow broadcast friends and our partners and everybody back home at the office would hate hearing me say that, because I'm there to do a job at the same time. But you do sort of lose yourself in the magical moment that is Disney World and what these kids are experiencing. So coming up a little bit later in the podcast on the Scribble here this week, you're going to hear from Preston, the 9.5-year-old boy who's going to be experiencing Disney, and then Fred Penner, the musical legend who I talked with after he performed a music set at the Dreams Take Flight meet and greet. So it was a great night, and it's going to be a really fun day coming up, and I'll tell you about that as the show goes on, because there's a significance between, I said, yes, Fred Penner was a legend to me as a kid. I'll tell you about how it's kind of a weird small world, and the Fred Penner story that goes along with it. We're back right after this here on The Scribble.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here, back on The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. This is episode 59 already, so we've been doing this for a little over a year. Now, I mentioned, well, really, this whole thing is a lead-up to Dreams Take Flight, which is happening next week in Orlando. The plane is taking off from Winnipeg and really changing the lives of dozens, 100 kids or so. And so when I was at the meet and greet at the Victoria Inn in Winnipeg, I met a whole bunch of kids that are going. And as I said, Preston is a 9.5-year-old, and I almost feel like we need almost to have a reporter on the ground, because I'm actually going to throw to myself. Joining us live from the Victoria Inn is Jeremy Bradley. He's got Preston standing by. I'm throwing to myself. This is how sad. Do we have a budget that we can bring in somebody to do it as a correspondent, or no? Oh no, that's right, because I'm the best-selling cheapskate author, so we wouldn't pay anybody else to do it. But anyway, so here's a clip. I can't say that we're live, but in the moment we were live there. So here's Preston joining me to talk about Dreams Take Flight. Jeremy Bradley here, back at the Dreams Take Flight meet and greet. A little bit noisy in here, but that's just the excitement in the air. Now I'm joined by Preston, who's going on the trip of a lifetime. That's got to be exciting.
Yes, it is.
How old are you?
9.5.
Have you been to Disney World before?
No.
Okay, so what are you looking forward to doing there?
Everything!
Do you like the fast rides, the ones that go upside down, or what do you like?
All of the rides.
Okay. Now, there's going to be a lot of characters, Disney characters there. Do you have anyone that you want to meet that day?
The toy soldiers.
Okay, so if you could ask him a question, what would you ask him?
What part of the Toy Story scene do you like?
What do you like?
All the toy soldier scenes.
Yeah. Okay. So are you going with any friends? Are you going on your own?
I'm going with my group.
Okay, that's right, because now everybody's mixed in with groups, so you're going to be about 8 kids or so going with a supervisor, right?
Yes.
Now, I know that not every parent is going, so this might be a fun trip to, brag about when you get home, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so if you could bring one person with you, I'm not going to put any pressure on you, but if you could bring one person on the trip, who would you bring?
Him.
Him? Who's him? They can't see.
Lendl.
And who's that?
He's my daycare worker.
Cool. All right. So we've got to get back to the music on our show, but we're going to see you in Orlando, and we'll meet up again, and I want to hear if you're having as much fun as I think you will, okay?
Yes, and I'm going to get all of the Lego Army Men, Disney Army Men on Patrol stuff.
Okay, then I'll have to bring my camera to get pictures of that.
Okay.
All right.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Over and out.
There you go. Thanks so much, Preston. We'll see.
Ba-doop, banana bus.
We'll see you in Florida. Thanks so much.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Thanks again for tuning in and subscribing. Always love getting your feedback and comments, especially when you tell us to go F ourselves. It's great. So dreams take flight. You know, I mentioned in the segment with Preston that it's a great day. Yeah, I know that he's going to be all over the place, but I would be too, and all the kids it's just overwhelming, I would imagine. And so we're going to be live from Orlando. It's that word live that kind of scares me. I've been doing this broadcasting thing for 10 years now, but there's the live element, and then there's live with children and animals. Thankfully, we don't do the animal thing on our show very often. Well, my dogs run amok sometimes. You don't necessarily see that. You might hear it when we're on the radio or doing this podcast. But yeah, so we are going to be live from Orlando. And now, if you haven't heard of Dreams Take Flight, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's dreamstakeflight.ca. And it's not just from Winnipeg as well, because there's a lot of the major centers. The kids will go Calgary, Vancouver. There's an opportunity for the kids to participate there. Let me just bring this up here. Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, of course, Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Halifax. So the kids get a chance to go from all over the world, and it's really great. And we're, of course, taking part in Winnipeg. I don't know that I'd be able to do every single city. If I'm invited to the Halifax one or to all the other ones, I might be able to. But it's a long day, but it's a great day. So again, check it out. It's a great charitable organization, dreamstakeflight.ca. And we'll have full coverage next week here on The Scribble. You never know what's going to happen with kids. That's all I got to say. So we'll be there reporting live for the radio, for the podcast, and then we'll have some complimentary web coverage as well. Fred Penner, a legendary singer from when I was a kid in Winnipeg. Fred Penner was there at the meet and greet, and he performed a music set for the kids, and he sang the famous songs, The Cat Came Back, and Sandwiches, and The Itsy Bitsy Spider, and just a whole bunch of songs that take me back to being a kid. And I had the opportunity to chat with him outside of the big event room that everybody was in. And so I got to tell you, there's a coincidental story. When I was doing performing arts in junior high, I was doing musical theater, and my English teacher, she was also the performing arts teacher, we had performed a song at Christmas, and I couldn't remember the name of it. We learned it with sign language as well, so we didn't just sing it, we also performed the sign language at Christmas. And I had the song in my head last Christmas. I was decorating the house, and I was, just getting into the Christmas spirit. But I couldn't remember who sang the song, and then I couldn't remember the name of it. I knew all of the words, and sometimes you can sort of figure out what the name of a song is based on the words or the repeated melody or chorus, but I couldn't find it online. And so I just out of nowhere decided to tweet my teacher, and she said, I think it was, it's this song by Fred Penner, if I'm not mistaken. So then she ended up finding it on YouTube, and she sent me the link, and I jokingly tweeted back to her, and I said, well, you know what? For Christmas, I'm going to invite you and him over, and we're going to sing this around the Christmas tree. Not thinking that at any point in my life would I ever, one, meet him, and two, have the opportunity to come face-to-face and potentially sing the song with him. And so it was very funny that I didn't know that he was going to be there. And sure enough, he does this music set, and I thought, oh my god, am I going to get a chance to interview Fred Penner? This is cool. I've talked with a lot of celebrities in my day, don't get me wrong. We've had everybody from Donald Trump, Betty White, Carol Burnett, Adam Lambert, a whole bunch of American Idols. We've had, tons of people. Dolly Parton's been on the show. But there's just something crazy about when this is somebody that you remember from childhood, and now here you are. Because I always saw him on television, or I saw him performing at a big carnival event, like in a park, and never would have thought that. So then I get a chance to do the interview with him. I take a selfie where we take a picture, and then I have to tell my teacher that, because I'm just like, Christmas came early, here I am with Fred Penner. Pretty cool. So Fred Penner, now I know a lot of Canadian kids or even grown-ups now are sitting going, well, I know Fred Penner, I know The Cat Came Back, I know Sandwiches, I know all of those songs. So it was pretty cool. And I've got to say, not only were the kids singing along, I think the parents were probably singing just as loud, because there were some parents my age, 33 years old I am, and so it was great to sort of bond and connect on that level too. I don't have kids, but you know what? I know Fred Penner music, and I loved it as a kid, and I still love it as an adult. So let's go. We're going to go back now live to Jeremy Bradley, who's at the Victoria Inn in Winnipeg. We gotta pay for a co-host when we do stuff like this. It's weird throwing to myself. But no, we taped this a few days ago. Here I am talking with Fred Penner. Jeremy Bradley here at the Dreams Take Flight meet and greet event, and there's some really, really special people here. But I'm talking with music royalty, as we know, Mr. Fred Penner.
Oh, you're
joining us right now.
You're too kind.
Yeah, I gotta say, you just did a... Do we call it a music set? It's a music set that you just did.
Yeah,
and
sets can be any length.
Right, and it's kind of cool because I know all of those words to all of those songs. Cat Came Back. Sandwiches are beautiful. Sandwiches are fine. I mean,
great.
Let's take that back though. I mean, how long ago did these songs? 30 years at least, because I'm 33.
Certainly, the Cat Came Back is a very old song. Sandwiches was probably written in the mid '70s. I've been doing it for 30 plus years. No, these are songs that those are the first number 1 and number 2 requests. Cat Came Back and Sandwiches in that order. And so the idea here was certainly to, with the hope that much of this audience would know those tunes, because when you sing, it sort of brings that energy together, because these people are going to be on, many of them are going to go on a most incredible journey to Florida for a day. So my purpose in a way is to sort of help bring some of that together. But I'm just so excited for these young people who are going to have this very deep and powerful memory.
And it must be also, speaking of memories, great for you to realize that generation after generation knows my 6-year-old nephews know these songs. I'm 33, yeah. I know the songs. My mom just turned 60, knows the songs.
Yeah.
They're timeless.
Well, that's just the way it worked out. You know, when I began this journey back in the late or the mid 70s, I had no idea where it would go. I did it because I knew I had worked with special needs kids in centers in around Winnipeg, and music was always part of my communication with whoever I'm with, and so I do this because I see daily the value of music in people's lives, certainly in my own life, and so bringing that forward, and people keep liking it and keep supporting me and say, why don't you do this? Come on and help us with that. And I tour extensively all over North America over the last 30 years, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping, apparently.
No, and I was going to say, music, it touches everybody, right? It gets you through tough times, it makes you feel happy, can make you feel sad. It really has that power to affect you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's therapeutic is the bottom line, and I understand that, so I bring it forward and do my absolute best to make people feel good about themselves and express themselves through the song.
And it's a little bit of magic too, right? So Dreams Take Flight. The kids are going to have a magical day. And I know you're not coming on the trip?
No. They just asked a couple of weeks ago on my schedule. You sort of have to get me at least a year in advance because I'm so busy. But I'm sorry I'm not able to join. But perhaps next year. I'm on the list for next year.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Yeah, that's also great too. That how many decades of a career still touring and still that booked, and that's just, it goes to show what people.
4 decades plus. Yeah, no, it's truly an amazing journey. But I'm staying healthy and creative in that order, and
that's the most important.
And
you still love
it. I absolutely love it.
So what's next? New music, new albums?
A new album, yes, indeed. I am working on, and I haven't recorded a new album for about 10 years. So I'm in the process of working on material that has been, building up in me for this time. I've got hundreds of songs, so it's really a challenge to whittle it down to a dozen or so. But it's getting close, and I'm going to Toronto next week to work with my producer, and we'll build it closer. And then coming May, we'll do some bed tracking, and then over the summer, create it to a finished product by the end of August, hopefully, and then have a new CD by November. That's the concept.
I was going to say, we don't have time to get into it, but I'm sure the recording industry itself has changed the process over the decades too, right?
Well, not so much. No, I, other than the analog to digital, which is, that alone has been massive. When we recorded back in the 70s, you're working with tape, and you've got literally a room filled with tape, just dragging it out. And now, you can cut and paste in a blink. It's a very strange change in technology, but But the bottom line is trying to bring a strength and positivity and energy to the music that will connect with the audience.
I was going to say, so I should thank you for not only entertaining and making a difference in all of our lives, my nephews, my brothers, me, and it sure meant a lot to the kids today. So again, thanks so much for chatting with us.
It was a two-way street. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Well, Fred Penner.
Great.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That is right, Larson, at The Scribble Show to follow along with our tweets. But hopefully you're also following me at SF Celebwatch, at SF as in Speak Free Celebwatch, because again, live tweeting from Orlando for Dreams Take Flight. Now again, depending on when you're listening to this, it might have already happened, so you might have to scroll back. It's happening Wednesday, April 6th. So just check your calendar to see what day it is today for you, and you might have to scroll back, or you might just have to wait because those tweets are coming. Then we're going to have all the coverage at dreams.jbonair.com, dreams.jbonair.com. I don't know that, are we doing it in real time? We might. Look at this, I'm consulting with other people in the room here. What's our production level going to be? We're doing it real time, or we're having it the next day? All right, either way, dreams.jbonair.com is where you can see all the stuff when we get it done. We'll get to it when we get to it, apparently. And it's going to be a big April because we're also going to be live from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I know we had our producer, Bonnie Winters, on the show last week, and I said, should we tell everybody what we're doing? Should we tell where we're going? And we're celebrating 10 years of Top of the Charts, our syndicated Top 40 music show. 10 years already. It'll be April 24th, I believe, is the 10th anniversary, and so we've got a very busy April. Look at this, we're just globetrotting. Seriously, Orlando, Mexico, where else can we go? Everybody always kind of says, oh yeah, it's a tough gig, you just travel around for work. I'm a homebody, so I actually really do like being home a lot, and I don't think that it's, it's fun to go away, but I like to just be away for maybe 3-4 days and then get back home. And so we never have gone anywhere international with the broadcasts. We've never done, Europe or Australia or anywhere far away, because at that point it takes so long to get there. Well, if you're going to be there, then you might as well make it worth the trip and stay, 2 weeks or whatever it is. And I like being home. It's difficult for me as well because I've got dogs and a house to take care of, and I run a company that, we do a lot of things. We've got newspaper stuff, we've got radio stuff, we've got books, best-selling books out. So, yeah, I'm kind of a control freak like that. It's hard for me. Years ago, when I bought my house, 8 years ago, and just before I had moved in and became a real adult, I took a trip to Cuba for a week. And I ruined the trip just because I ended up being so connected with everybody back home. Now, this was before the days of social media and Facebook and everything like that. So I was constantly calling home, and I texting, I guess, it was popular then too. Not as big as it is now. But I ended up coming home to a $2,000 cell phone bill. Part of the reason why I wrote the book, Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. But, I needed to know what was happening. And I didn't have a dog. I didn't have dogs at the time. I didn't have a house. Didn't really have much in terms of responsibility except, a job. I was doing the radio thing. But, yeah, it was difficult. It's strange. It's different for me. I don't know. I like being home. And I used to just constantly send pictures back to everybody. Now, like I said, with social media, people just have the platform to post things and share it with the world. Whereas I think I was more focused on doing exactly that. I would come home or go back to the hotel, edit down the pictures, send out a big long email with all the details about every single moment of the day. And then I kind of was like, well, that's really lame. You know what? It's my trip. Let me enjoy this, because I was so worried about entertaining others and having other people enjoy it. And now social media does that for you. And I say the same thing to people. When you're in Egypt or when you're traveling to Japan or wherever you are, how much are you living in the moment and really enjoying the trip and what you're doing there? Because you're so focused on framing the picture just right and getting it on Instagram and posting it. You're not living it for yourself. You're living it for the other people who are there. And it's happened a couple times where I come back for, actually, when we were doing the show, the radio show in Orlando, not Dreams Take Flight, but we were just there covering SeaWorld and Disney and what have you. And I remember looking at the camera on the way back going, I don't really remember going on this ride. Oh, I don't remember really seeing this. I saw it through the camera, but, oh, okay, cool. And then it just sort of makes you wonder, right? Am I really enjoying the trip? So, all right. Are we almost done? We're almost done. This is my 5th show today, everybody. We taped 2 top of the charts, 2 open road shows, and now this, and I'm just exhausted. Strangely, I'm not drunk, though. You'd think I might be a little bit buzzed. So again, we are live from Orlando next week here on The Scribble. If you haven't tuned into the weekly broadcast that we do, definitely check it out at thescribbleshow.com. And our celebrity guests that we have here and on top of the charts and the open road are at speakfreecelebwatch.com, speakfreecelebwatch.com. And speaking of celebrities, the latest news and gossip from the entertainment world is every day on our little 3-minute segment called Entertainment Wrap-Up. And that's at entertainmentwrapup.com, entertainmentwrapup.com. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. It's always awesome hearing from you. Live at jbonair.com is my email address, live at jbonair.com. Talk to you next week from Orlando. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mind